What is cancer? What is it? People can assess it and, they can say, well, it could be a virus that inserts an oncogene, which is a cancerous gene in there, or a vibration that triggers the turning on of an oncogene. Or, you could sit in ultraviolet light and, or have some sort of damage done. And there are different repair mechanisms of DNA. You have basic repair, but if the damage is too bad, you have what's called gross repair, and it just starts inserting base pairs of DNA, and sometimes it's incorrect. Usually the cell dies, but occasionally a cancer gene is created. Trauma can create cancer. What happens? Well, an oncogene, what is that doing? It's transcribing, as they know, an enzyme that renders the cell immortal and causes it to metastasize and try to take over the body, to grow and grow and grow and grow. The cell has a normal life cycle that it goes through. But cancer violates that with immortality. But that's just what it's doing. It has nothing to do with why. It is only what. Again, structure, math, quantity. If you know a cell is conscious, and DNA is its system of how would you look at DNA? The same way you would look at the components in your body. That's part of it. It's the structure, the brain, the liver. The liver is the most alive organ in the body. The brain is the most dead. Your consciousness is not so much confined to the brain, only for your five senses in that input, and then other things, thinking and whatnot. But your thoughts occur throughout your entire body, and around your body more specifically. Cancer is an insane energy, but it's not its fault. It is separate from this whole system that I'm talking about, this scalar reality of existence. And it doesn't understand that as it grows, it's going to destroy its own ability to live. So there's only one conclusion you can make, and that's absolute fear. A disconnection somehow from the love, the consciousness, the understanding, the knowing of why it exists, the beauty of its existence and everything. And the consciousness alters the DNA of the cell because it feels isolated, alone, and separate. If you damage a cell and it's trying to resist the death, imagine the fear of how it's played out if a cell is dreaming where it gets damaged by something. And it gets so damaged that it's traumatized. The consciousness is going like crazy trying to repair it and whatnot. And then it creates a resonance. Because of fear, it's so traumatized, this is just one instance, that it can't remember anymore. It doesn't believe in the system. How can this be happening? And its defense to its fear is to try to take control, anger, aggression. Suddenly the consciousness is played out between cells that, hey, no, you're part of us. No, I'm not. I don't trust you, any of you. Becomes immortal. It creates that gene. It starts to use more abilities than it should in relation to other cells. Starts to hurt them. And the consciousness grows in scalar relation and this starts at the atomic level, people, below. Next thing you know, it's tissue that it's focused on, rather than the cell. And tries to take over the tissue. It doesn't care about the tissue. That's why you have a lesion. It's a war. It's killing other cells. Otherwise you wouldn't have a lesion or an ulceration. And then the consciousness goes after other cells to try to make them cancerous, to grow in the body. And it would have to seduce the cell to leave the system it's already part of by traumatizing it, seducing it. Look what I can do. Look, I'll scare you. Look, I could kill you right now, but look, do you want what I can do? And the cell has no idea the cancer just wants to take it over so it can make another scalar jump, so it can use it to see itself as I, and that is it. That's what cancer is. The body tries to attack it because it recognizes that it's a foreign resonance now. It just becomes an internal battle. But when you correlate what happens with cancer, and I have, of people that have spontaneously healed, or they call it spontaneous remission, they've all done different things. There are people that try procedures. I'll take 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, like Linus Pauling suggested. I'll take homeopathic remedies. I'll do yoga. I'll do this. I'll do that. And so there are very different people that have done these different procedures that have avoided chemotherapy and radiation treatment, which is just another war. And these people that have healed themselves from cancer all report having, it doesn't matter what their procedure was, they all report having this experience of infinity and understanding of the scale of reality. Whether they can say it in the same way I'm doing it doesn't matter, they know it. And they try to express it to people the best way they can. The whole body was used to convince the energy animating the cancer cells that, hey, you were part of me. I love you, man. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing to be scared of. I'm sorry this happened. It was nobody's fault. Come back. And finally what happened is that energy made that leap of faith within your body, came back to you, everything was fine, the cancer cells are shed, and when this spontaneous remission thing happens, it can happen in 24 to 48 hours. It's like snowballs melting on a stove. Tumors just go. No chemicals can do that, no medicine, no chemotherapy, no radiation treatment, no immune system. This is something different, and cancer is something different. It's separation. What ultimately happens when it becomes a cancer cell is what? Well, remember, each cell has its own consciousness, and part of that consciousness sees itself as I, and the other part is utilized by you to see yourself as I, or the organ to see itself as I, that type of deal. Cancer disconnects it from that and plugs into it, so it still has its own individuality, but the other part of it is used by the cancer consciousness to see itself as I. It unplugs you from the cell, from you, and plugs into the cell to see itself as I, and that's what a tumor is. Now, your cells obviously are connected to you in more ways than just consciousness. There are other dimensions, other realms. When it becomes overwhelmed by cancer, it forgets that until people have this scalar, this event of infinity, of understanding. That's the connection to the Creator, the love. That which created everything. And your beacon of a problem is responded to by the Creator. Now here's the deal. Time is related to scale as well. Time for an atom is not the same amount of time for you. It's vibrating way too fast for you to perceive. So even time for, like, say, a fruit fly. Oh, it only lives 24 to 48 hours. What a short life. Well, not to it. If it's on a different frequency, a different scale of existence, that could seem like a much longer period to it. That's why man has trouble trying to swat a fly. You're moving really slow to that fly. And because your relationship of time relates to your perception of depth, if you're on, say, one side of a room that has a 15-foot distance between two walls, and you look at that, you perceive it in relation to your frequency of existence, your relation to time, and that's how you perceive depth. It will take me 2 seconds, 3 seconds to get to the other side. However, a fly looks 15 feet across the room, and its relationship to time, its relationship to depth is different. Even though it may arrive there faster than you, it does not seem that way to the fly. It sees it as a very long distance away compared to how you perceive it. Much closer together than you would perceive it as your size, right? And so what this creative love force, I'll call it God, okay? It's easier to just say God for now. That's not what it is, but I'm just going to call it God for simplicity. God immediately put into my mind that the whole idea of physics and chemistry and the periodic table is missing one element for quantitative. Not that it matters, but, and that is the element of time, which, is just that. It's the scalar jump from atoms to molecules to tissues to everything is missing the element of time. So if you know that, then if you go through some sort of cancer in your body, and even if you have a spontaneous remission that's took 48 hours, amazingly fast for the tumors to dissolve. From your cell's point of view, that was not 48 hours. That was a long, drawn-out process. And then when the spontaneous remission happened, it was just as instantaneous for the cells as it was for you, and that's the true nature of love and God, is that it's instantaneous. It will have a scalar effect all the way down. The cancer was healed immediately. The process of shedding the cells is like cleanup after the other energy abandoned those cells. That's all that is. The cancer, when it healed, was instantaneous. Everything else was just cleanup in the body's, getting rid of the tumor.